You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Well, good evening, Radio 1 listeners. Thank you for tuning in to The Lyndia Grant Show. Today is Friday. We record on Tuesdays, but Friday's show is April 24th, and we are so happy to be here with you. This week, I'm going to play attorney Shelore Williams. She was on my guest last month, and I was so excited about her show. It was really great information. So if you have some need to have somebody do some estate planning in your family, be sure and tune in. Now let's go to Dr. Julianne Malvo to talk about what's going on in politics. You're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things. Good day, Dr. J.
Good day, Sister Lyndia. It's good to hear your voice.
Yes.
And you said it's politics. It's politics. It's politics. This is a hot monkey mess we have going on in this country right now. Mm-hmm. Let me just start at the top. We're hearing breaking reports that Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer is expected to resign. We're talking on Tuesday. By Friday, we'll probably have the resignation. Details are still emerging, but confirmed this will be a major development at the Department of Labor. And it matters to us, to workers, to Black people, because the Labor Department is where wage and hour laws are enforced, where worker protections are interpreted, and where the rules of the workplace are shaped. So when the leadership there is unsettled, workers are going to feel it. And that's part of the challenge. Workers will feel it whether or not they can name it. Workers cannot resign from the instability that man who lives in a house that enslaved people built. We can't resign from it, but we're living it. And this woman has done all kinds of things, or is accused, let me be clear, is accused of doing all kinds of things, including having affairs with her staff, a husband having affairs with her staff. Mm-hmm. Can we get back to the business of government?
Yes.
Can we get back to the business of government? This is some crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And the problem with the crazy stuff is that while we have all these shenanigans at the top, we have workers at the bottom who are wondering, just wondering what's going to happen to me. Because, for example, there is a case right now with Amazon, and the case is about worker terms and conditions, how workers are being treated. And the challenge with that, of course, is that Amazon has always had an interesting relationship with unions. And they really don't want unions, but there have been some folks who have organized under the Amazon umbrella, which has been a great thing. But at the end of the day, all these things will be adjudicated with the National Labor Relations Board. The National Labor Relations Board is not fully staffed because the president has not appointed people. But if he did appoint people, what do we want to know about that? They're not necessarily going to be people that will be labor sympathetic. So this is everything that was laid out in Project 2025, and now it's happening, it's coming to life right in front of us. And it's very unsettling for workers. Now, on Tuesday, Kevin Warsh, who is the person who the president would lead the Federal Reserve Bank, this man had his hearing on Tuesday. Elizabeth Warren, snap, tore a hole into him because Mr. Warsh is very wealthy. He's on the Fed before. He has holdings. Here's the issue. If you're negotiating or deliberating interest rates, capital laws, you don't have any business being invested. But he is invested. He's been told that he has to divest his investment. He says he will, but he hasn't done it yet. So he really shouldn't have a hearing until this has already been divested. But he's doing what he does because he can. And the challenge is that it's illegal. Mm-hmm. So he's, on one hand, the president has been on Jerome Powell for the past year. Lower the interest rate, lower the interest rate, lower the interest rate. And Jerome Powell has said that it's not supported by the data that the interest rate should lower. Now, among economists, there is some, I don't want to say disagree. People have different points of view about this. However, no one believes that Jerome Powell should be summarily dismissed. His term does end next month, but he stays on the Fed. So he leaves as chair next month, but he has 2 more years on the Fed. Most people at this point would leave and just say, okay, bye. But he and the president have been squabbling, and so he may stay. Which then would weaken Mr. Warsh's position, who would then, if approved, he will be the new head of the Fed. But there are at least one Republican senator, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, who has said he will not vote for Warsh unless the Department of Justice releases its claims against Jerome Powell. At the president's urging, Department of Justice has gone after Jerome Powell on specious charges. But anyway, that's where we are with that. Lyndia, it's just a mess, and this is our monetary policy. And
it's economics. What's your PhD? That's what it is. It's politics, but it's also economics.
It is. It's a nexus of politics and economics. Politics part is who you put on the Fed. And for years, decades really, the Fed is relatively non-political. Relatively. I mean, there are times, but basically the Fed is non-political, but this president has tried to make it political.
Yes, he has.
Goes out and says, we're going to go after Jerome Powell because he's wrong. He goes out and says these things, but he goes out and says things about everything. But anyway, this Kevin Warsh wants a smaller Fed. He wants the Fed. He believes that the Fed overreach drove inflation during COVID, and he has yet to divest his personal financial holdings. In addition to that, in terms of Warsh, that we need to understand is that he refused to say that President Trump lost the 2020 election. Under intense scrutiny in the hearing, he would not say that. So that lets you know where he's going from. Now he says, we're going to be independent. We're not going to pay attention to the president. Hey, the president who lost, let's just say. So everybody is very wary about this man. But at the end of the day, if the Senate votes in lockstep, he will be the new president, the chair of the Fed. So,
got 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes.
These interest rates are not abstract. They affect your mortgages, your credit cards, your small business loans, and real life. And the Fed may be looking at data, but people are living data, Lyndia, in real time. Now, very quickly, I can't say very much about the situation in Iran because neither can anybody else. One day we've got a ceasefire, the next day we don't. This president waxes and wanes. Again, the bottom line from my conversation with you today, Lyndia Grant, is uncertainty. Nobody knows what's going on. And when nobody knows what's going on, markets are unsettled, people's lives are unsettled, workers are unsettled. So we have a state of just unsettlement. People just don't know. It's Tuesday. By Friday, people will say, oh, he changed his mind. But then he's going to change it again.
Well, they didn't know when it first got started. So how, it just,
exactly.
all of a sudden it just was.
There was never a reason for this war. Well, we're all paying for this war. $2 billion a day, Lyndia. $2 billion a day.
Well,
I can stop.
Thank you, Dr. Julian. I'm going to tell you, I know I'm adding to what you have to say, but I think it's all about the Trump administration and his people getting money. Somehow or another in the background, it's about money. Thank you, Dr. Julian. That's all right.
Thank you. You're absolutely right.
I can say that because this is my show and I pay to be on the air. And they're going to have to find me. But I believe it every step of the way. It's all about money and finance for the family and the close friends. And so it's about money. It's not about anything else. All right.
You're absolutely right. Thank you. See you next week.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. This is Dr. Julianne Malvo is just gave us politics, and now we're going to go to our commercial break. And when we come back, we will be talking to attorney Shelore Williams, talking about estate planning. Good day.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington Informer religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
And that day came. I wonder if there are any of us who have any real idea about how despairing many are today. Do you have any concept at all of how hopeless life appears to be for many young people in our day? On every side, there are troubles, and they don't know where to turn. They find no sense of meaning to life. There are not merely passing fancies. They are conditions under which some live all the time without a ray of hope. Invite your friends to worship service. That'll help them. I feel strongly that we need to lift up our voices on these matters because God will be the light that will shine in those dark places.
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
This is Frank Smith with the African American Civil War Museum in Washington, D.C., located at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest on the Green Line. Did you know that a recent study found that children who visit museums do better in school and in life than children who do not? So parents, teachers, and preachers, let's get moving. I promise you, if you bring your children to the African American Civil War Museum, they will be inspired by the images that they see. They will be impressed by our living history reenactors who are always available, and they will be involved in our scavenger hunt that takes them throughout our exhibit. That's the African American Civil War Museum, 1925 Vermont Avenue. Our hours are 10 to 6:30 on weekdays, 12 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. See it. Be inspired.
And we are back. Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. You are here on Spirit 1340 WYCB, and I have been talking to Dr. Julianne Malvo in part one, but my second guest today is attorney Shelore Ann Carey Williams. She'll be talking about wills, and her main level of practice is wills and probate. Welcome to the show today, Shelore Williams.
Oh, thank you for having me, Lyndia. You know, I'm always happy to be on your show because I want always your listeners to know how hard you work for them and how hard you try to find the right topics for them. Even today, we were talking about what we were going to talk about, and I remember that you just lost a dear good friend, just had the funeral last week.
Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson.
That's right. And before him, another friend of yours passed away, Pierpont
Mobley. Mm-hmm.
That's right. And you know, these wonderful people, death doesn't have a name. It just does. If you're a person of experience, person of no experience, if you're high class, low class, middle class, death comes every day. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that I would take this opportunity to remind your listeners how important it is to get your documents in order, because there's always a question that has to be answered when people die. And that is, what do we do next? How do we write an obituary? What does a death certificate do? How do we take care of mama? How do we take care of the children? And that's why your will the will in the last testament is so important, because it tells people, it tells the public, it tells the court, this is what I want to have happen when I'm no longer around. And I'll tell you something, Lyndia, it is relieving to people who you leave behind. If you leave no will, people are all upset. They don't know what to do. They're confused. And I just like to take these opportunities to talk to people about just relax, take a deep breath, and know one thing. You cannot do anything without a death certificate. And people who try to sell a house, sell a car, get money out the bank, you can't do all that without a death certificate. You cannot do all that without a last will and testament filed in the courthouse, where the court has appointed you what they call a personal representative. In some cases, in some states, they call you an administrator. In some states, they call you an executor. So knowing ahead of time what you can prepare for and what is expected of you will save you a lot of grief. For instance, when you do not have a will, Lyndia, and a person dies, who will the court look to handle the last assets or the debts of the person? Well, if the person is married, they look at the spouse. If the person is married and they have children, but the spouse has died, they look at the children. If the children are not there, they look at the siblings. If the siblings are not there, they look at the parents. That's if you do not have a will. But you can make that so easy by naming your executor or your administrator or your personal representative. It tells the court, this is the person I want to take care of my assets at the time of my death. And Lyndia, the other thing that you have to think about is your burial place. You know,
but let's go back to the will before you go to the burial.
Okay.
Can they do it? Like when I was watching a movie on TV, where the lady just got two witnesses. She wrote it up differently, even though her lawyer had done the will officially. The one that she wrote up the night before she either committed a suicide or whatever she did, because she laid down and went to sleep and didn't wake back up. But she had witnesses or a new will that she wrote that night that superseded the other one. I'm asking because I don't remember what you said when I asked that question before.
You know, that's a very good question. Let's talk about that will that we say is the last will and testament. It is the last statement that the person makes about themselves and what they want to have happen. This will, this document that you write up, whatever you put in it, has to be in the District of Columbia and in Maryland. It has to be witnessed, your signature when you sign it, it has to be witnessed at the same time you sign it by two people. And on top of that, you can't sign the will today and then take it to me tomorrow to witness it. Everybody has to be in the same room.
That's what she did.
The other important thing is Virginia not only has two witnesses, but it has a notary component to it. What does that mean? That means jurisdictions have different regulations that govern how this document, this will, this last will and testament is supposed to have in its document. So you have the person who writes the will. Watch me sign the will. You also have to remember two things. your will should be initialed on each page and dated by the writer, and the two witnesses. That shows the court that there's no hanky-panky with that document. So the name of the person who's writing the will and the two witnesses sign and initial each page. In this document, you also have to name your executor or your personal representative. And let's say you die, you write your will, Lyndia, you name me as your personal representative, but suppose I just happened to die before you. You then name a backup person. Mm-hmm. If Shelore is not around when I die, then I want Miss Susie to be my personal representative. You always have to have a backup person. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Because none of us are guaranteed, even though we may go to sleep healthy, we don't know whether we're going to wake up. We just don't.
And not only that, when you die, some people just die sitting in a chair, talking on the phone. I just had a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, nice guy. I was sitting in the chair looking at the television, and that was the end of the story for that day at that time. Mm-hmm. But fortunately for that person, they did prepare a will. Not only did they prepare a will, they had a life insurance policy. So now, here you have a will that tells the court and tells your family and friends by public what you want to do with your assets, your house, your car, your clothes, your jewelry. That's important. That's so important. And it makes it easier for the person who has to carry out those responsibilities. Now, in Maryland, we call them personal representatives. That person you trust will do what you say in your written last will and testament. And that person has an obligation to act in the best interest of what they call your estate.
Let me just say, let me jump in and so you can answer this while you're answering that. Mm-hmm. If somebody write on their will that they want something to happen, and although they trusted the people and they still do something different, and I'm only saying that because a couple of people told me that somebody too well known for me to name left me some money in their will for my radio show. Uh-huh. But some people in the family never told me, but they know that it happened. And they were telling me because they expected me to get it, but I never did. So all I'm saying is they obviously changed their plans.
Well, let's see what the two possible things that happen. And this is how you can check. First of all, there's a will and a person has left something in the will. Let's say a fur coat. That lady, that fur coat might not be available at the time of death. Mm-hmm. I've had the client to die in 2014, leave a living room set to a friend of hers. She didn't die until 2024. The living room set was not available. It was not there anymore. She had moved from her house to assisted living, and they had to get rid of the furniture while she was living.
Oh, now, I see. Mm-hmm.
Or let's say it is there and you don't know what happened to it. Well, you have to file the will in the courthouse. So Maryland, you have to file a will in the courthouse. And then you can read what's in that will. You just go to the courthouse, see if you can get a copy and see what's in the will. And the other thing that you can see is what happened to that money or that fur coat or that car. It has to be listed in what they call a report or an account in Maryland. You have to tell the court what happened to all the assets. And so it's a possibility. Here's the coat. You have to tell the court that that coat was not there at the time of death. And that's how the person doesn't get the coat.
Okay, I see. Mm-hmm.
But you can always check, Lyndia. You can always check. because there's a report.
Even if you're not part of the family, a will is open for other people to see? Because I never thought of that.
Oh yes, you can check it out. You can what's supposed to happen, if your name is listed in the will, then you are what they call an interested person. Okay. And as such, you should have gotten a copy of the will so that you can see that your name is in the will. And then you're supposed to get a report of what happened to all the assets. Did you have enough assets to cover the bills? Did you have to sell or use all the assets to cover the bill and the estate is at a deficit? That report is in court. You can't sell a house, sell a car, you get rid of a fur coat without being appointed the personal representative. And that personal representative must contact the listed interested persons in the will.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Okay.
the other possibility is the person could have said, Lyndia, I want you to have this money when I die, but she forgot to write the will or forgot to revise the will to put your name in the will. But you can always take a look at that will.
Well, the person that told me that it was in there is dead now too. And but she said she knew it was in there. So I can't, I just decided to leave it alone.
Well, right. Just know that if the will is in the courthouse and you're an interested person, that's what they call you, an interested person, you can get a look at that will.
Okay, but that's Maryland. But is it the same in D.C.? Because this was D.C. resident.
Yes, I believe if you go to D.C., it might be a little difficult, but you have to tell them that you believe you're an interested person listed in this will. And you can go up online, I think, in D.C. And yes, you can go online in D.C. and put the lady.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Thank you. Now, go ahead. I interrupted you because you were talking about something that piqued my interest. That's all right.
Okay. Well, but you made up some very important points. And that is, how do I know if I'm in the will? Mm-hmm. Well, you'll know because it's the responsibility of the executor or the personal representative to contact you. But also,
that's why I'm saying, but does that always happen? No, I don't believe it does.
Well, if you file in court, let me go with DC. DC has two systems, what they call supervised estate and unsupervised estate. In an unsupervised estate, you're listed and reported to the court, and you tell the court that I'll do everything I'm supposed to do, and they'll leave you alone. In a supervised estate process, the court monitors your actions. In Maryland, everything is supervised, and the court always monitors the actions of the personal representative.
Okay.
So you can look, why don't you call me tomorrow and give me the name, and we can go up on DC and see if it's in there.
All right, I can do that. Thank you, Shelore. Shelore, it looks like we're out of time. I was trying to keep up. That's why you have to do a podcast with me. Because that way we can talk and keep going, because you have so much to tell people.
What I love about doing this with you is that it's such a wonderful, easy conversation with you.
Yes, it is. And that's why I like to have you on too. Because you answer not just me, because I guarantee you there's some listeners out there listen to this show today who might have the same situation that I'm in. Mm-hmm. Heard that they were going to get something and did not. So, and I mean, a reputable person, somebody that had something to leave too. So, right. All right, Shelore, thank you so much for being my guest today. I appreciate you, and I'm going to have you back on because there's so much more we can talk about.
All right. I love that. I love it.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. That does it for today. Good day.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.